And here we are with the commentary. The commentary, of course, will mainly be about episode 50, but because so much of what happens in episode 50 begins here in episode 49 with this little stinger at the end, wanted to get some of that in and talk a little bit about, what the Anti-Thinker is, what it meant for the show right after. There he is. Oh, yeah. Oh, God, I miss him already. I do miss him. So the game Anti-Thinker, the concept originally was supposed to start up right after the show joined ScrewAttack. You'll remember in the episode that sort of climaxed the My Vids Don't Suck contest was showed the Overthinker rather using the NES zapper that actually worked, and that was sort of to clue in that, okay, this is not precisely reality, there's some other things going on. Things came up, some sidetracking was happened, and eventually it got to be, Christmas time of the previous year now, and we were thinking, this may be the time to finally get this character out there. The original plan was for the Anti-Thinker to take over for, 6 episodes or so. When episode 50 came around, as the celebration of episode 50, the Overthinker would come back, beat up the Anti-Thinker, and take the show back. There would be a few bits of business in between all that would show the Overthinker dicking around in Wario's woods, but it would mostly be the Anti-Thinker reviews. Just funny, just a change of pace. What ended up happening was we shot 3 episodes worth of Anti-Thinker stuff, one of which never aired, and it just started to become clear from my own criticism of the show itself and from a lot of fan feedback, which we do read, that the Anti-Thinker was a hateful bastard, and maybe the joke was a little thin. That he was too hateful, too much of a bastard, and that maybe people did not want to spend that many episodes just with this guy. So we reworked things, I went back to the drawing board, thought it out, and said, we could do this Quest of the Overthinker concept for the remaining 3 episodes, and then when we got to episode 50, instead of just, okay, he comes back in the room, blows him up, and now he's gone, and things go back to normal, we could really leap whole hog into a retooling of the show as this direct parody of these kind of video game-powered, marketing-driven superheroes people remember from the late 80s and early 90s, characters like Captain N, like Howard and Nestor, like Video Power, 4 or 5 people remember that, and just have some fun with it. So this was the debut of that. Now here you see the Anti-Thinker transformation into his full form. That is me in the costume. That's the first and last time you'll see me wearing the costume for a shot like that. Why do we have this transformation? Obviously, so that the Anti-Thinker and Overthinker can get together and fight. Without having to use a split screen effect, though we do end up using the split screen effect just to not totally cheap out on it. This is a really uncomfortable costume. Okay, now the cloaked figure here, the guy we call Monster Face Guy, he, obviously, this is his last appearance for a little while, but his voice remains kind of omnipresent and recurring throughout the show. I know who he is, I know his whole backstory, he is planned out. I think you guys are really going to enjoy him when the whole extent of what he is revealed, but you won't get anything out of me for now, and he will not be a big part of immediately coming story stuff, which is going to be in a different direction, just to give people a break from the whole Anti-Thinker, Overthinker, do something a little different. I won't spoil exactly what it is, but let me just say, if you like ninjas, and you like cheesy movies, and you like cheesy 1980s ninja movies like that Godfrey Ho ninja fantasy stuff, I think you've got some stuff to look forward to. Here we have some title cards, of course, just wrapping up the whole thing. And this is our segue towards episode 50, which is the big fight, the big light show, War of the Thinkers, this kind of, mock portentous narration. Obviously, this is all tongue-in-cheek, this is just meant to be a goof on the whole genre, really sort of reflect the retro style, anything can happen wacky video games that so much of the game Overthinker has been spent, praising and loving, and get back to some of that and just have fun. This is the sort of thing that show that I was kind of dreamed, I would do this kind of weird stuff as a kid if I ever got a show of my own. And now I have a show of my own, and this is the weird-ass stuff that I'm doing with it. And now we segue off into episode 50, coming right up. Right after some, tongue-in-cheek lampshade hanging here in the credits. Oh, you missed Straw Man. How about that? Huh, I wonder if that'll come up again. And here we go on the actual episode 50, War of the Thinkers, opening on a Halo 3 parody. You know, most of the references and parodies that you're going to see in this were very retro. I think, like, the most recent one, other than this, was a Symphony of the Night gag, which is, you know, a decade and change old of a game. So, thought it would be fun to just open on this Halo 3 business. This was actually a late addition, though. Originally, it being this sort of battle royal thing, the idea was going to be that they just both show up in the woods and do their entrance, and the Anti-Thinkers entrance music was going to be the old NWO theme from the WCW, the specific NWO theme, not the remix of Voodoo Child that Hulk was using for a while. God, I'm a nerd. Okay, so then we sort of got on, let's do Halo 3. Let's do that whole opening with the narration. And it's, it's a fun reference, nice to reference a game that, some of the audience might have been born during. And here he is, the Anti-Thinker in the woods. Now, I want to speak again about the Anti-Thinker. Of course, we're going into his first-person mode here, more Halo referencing, because, I like to poke at Halo, but I don't hate Halo. I just think it's a little overrated. The Anti-Thinker, a lot of people thought maybe he was a parody of my own critics or of, people who read the blog or comment on the show. Not really. His voice and intonations are based on a very specific caricature of a certain type of guy that you would see. If you're from where I'm from, Massachusetts, you have met this guy. I have not had to explain this character to anyone who is from around here. If you've been in the Boston area and you've been out at the club, you know this guy. You've met him, and you've wanted to do that to him. And here we go. Music sting here from Altered Beast. There's a lot of Altered Beast in this. For some reason, Altered Beast was really on my mind. That's one of those games that's very flawed, and, it has its problems, but everyone played the shit out of it back in the day, and they remember it. Here we go. We did not destroy an actual NES zapper to make this cordless one, by the way. I took it apart. It can be put back together. I would not do that knowingly to an NES zapper. It's a vintage piece of technology. Love it to death. It's a cheap toy cap gun that the Anti-Thinker has, but actually ends up looking pretty good. Okay, clip show parody right here. A lot of people were expecting that we'd do a clip show sort of thing, or that they would arrive at some kind of understanding with one another. Oh, you and I aren't so much alike, and then it went like that. It's like, no, this is going to be a light show. It's going to be a throwdown. But, wanted to acknowledge it, put it out there. No, we're not doing that. This is the first of at least 3 jokes about people no longer standing there. Rack focus zoom. And here we go with the shootout. I like this kind of artificial slow-mo choppiness here. It's a cool effect. Now this right here, these 2 rocks and trees through the magic of filmmaking, these are way the hell in different parts of this woods. They are geographically quite far apart from one another. You couldn't really be aiming at each other through that, but that's, some filmmaking stuff. We liked the way this outcropping of rocks looked, and there it was. You can see a rock that looks like it in the background there, but it is not the same rock. That's it's just how these things work. Obviously, to shoot stuff like this, we pretty much shot all of the Anti-Thinkers scenes right away, and then later in the day shot my scene, the Overthinkers scenes in the other costume. We were kind of betting that it would be colder later in the day, and that the Overthinkers jacket is a little warmer to wear, so that actually worked out. This, of course, completely self-indulgent scene. 2 guys lounging against a tree and a rock, having a mid-shootout conversation. Very much a Quentin Tarantino, John Woo lift. I want to point out just something for you other amateur video makers who may be watching this. The insert shots of just random scenery in between these. In the business, that's called coverage, where you just shoot the shit out of the scenery that you're shooting in, so that later on, if a 1-2 camera shot gets boring, there's some more of it, you can just insert it right over it, and it breaks up the scene a little bit, gives you a little more visual time. That's called coverage. A lot of people don't notice it, and if you don't, follow film school or film books, a lot of people never even think to do it. Okay, here's another thing that we were going to shoot but ended up not doing. This origin story alluded to here is my actual origin story for the game Overthinker, that he found a zapper gun and jacket, which we never see him wearing, obviously, because I can't make one, that looks very much like a certain show you may remember with a similar premise to this from the 90s. Someday we may actually shoot that if we can find like a little kid to play the younger Overthinker. But yeah, that's canonical. That's not a joke. To the extent that this show has a canon, that's part of it. And here we go for some, Sam Peckinpah back and forth shootout at the OK Corral, Clint Eastwood BS here. All right, here we go. It occurs to me, the Anti-Thinker and the Overthinker, neither of them come off as especially the brightest guys in the world, because you would think that the Anti-Thinker has been briefed that Overthinker would have these powers, and that Overthinker would remember that Anti-Thinker has I-beams, but, well, there you go. It's a Triforce effect. We never got this as right as we wanted to. It came out okay, I think, for, the kind of effects that we're using. This is all done on Adobe Premiere and with dropped-in, artifacts from Adobe Photoshop. Live-action Hadoken. Our fire effects, though color-corrected here, are gotten from DetonationFilms.com. Fantastic resource. They have a lot of free stuff, but they also have some even better stuff that you can buy for your own effects productions. Absolutely check those guys out. They are lifesavers. Castlevania Symphony of the Night reference. And here we go with the fight scene, and here we go. Now, if you look really close, those of you eagle eyes out there might be able to spot the line for the twinning shot split screen. Yeah, this is why you usually don't see twinning shots being done outdoors, is because the sun changes position in the sky and changes the shape of the shadows on the ground. Okay, whenever you see a guy from the back, it's my brother here. Whenever you see it from the, in the back, it's my brother, basically. We changed places for those shots. He is a trooper. He helped out with everything, and I love the way that those punches look and sound in this whole thing. It's very Raiders of the Lost Ark. And here we have two guys, making video game references at one another again. Coverage again. Okay, now this brief exchange right here, obviously, yes, this is a little bit of sour grapes about criticism. I think I'm entitled to one of those in the episode to just get a little bit of that out, and also throw it back in my face a little bit, to take some of these criticisms are valid, and here we go, and you can see where it's all cutting together here. Ooh, he's sad now. It's a little. That medallion around Anti-Thinker's neck actually is metal and surprisingly heavy, and it gets a little uncomfortable by the end of the day. And, yes, a most obvious joke you can make with a side-running shot, but I love those cartoons, so there we go. Ninja Gaiden NES music here. Oh no, who could have called it? More stuff from DetonationFilms.com, really cool. Now that's a Dragon Ball Z explosion shot, if I ever saw one. Okay, now this right actually here, most of what you just saw was one day of filming, and this is a whole different day. We shot this over a couple of weekends. Once again, you can see that it is significantly later in the day in the Overthinker's shots than it is in the Anti-Thinker's shots. Also, you can see my glasses change gradations of sunglass because I have those lenses that correct outdoors. Lying down on that rock for the Overthinker shots, by the way, very uncomfortable. We are coming up on the biggest special effects pain in the ass in the entire thing right here. Those of you who've done, effects for a production like this can guess what it is. And here we go with the Wii Remote. Hey, how come we didn't see that before? Now, this lightsaber thing here, I think looks very good. Here's how we had to do this. Adobe Premiere comes with a lightning effect that you can just drop in. And if you drop all the values of it down to 0, it just makes a straight line. And you can make a lightsaber. The thing is, it doesn't animate well, so you have to cut the film up into, one frame bits and reanimate that line on every frame of it. So these couple seconds of a lightsaber moving around that you see here is all frame by frame, like we're animating Gumby or some shit. It looks good. It's an incredible pain in the ass. I love how it came out. It adds a certain amount of authenticity to the gag that it looks like a Star Wars lightsaber, but I don't think you'll be seeing that lightsaber make another appearance in the series just for my own carpal tunnel insanity. And here we go. Okay, that is my brother Chris in the Anti-Thinker final form costume. He is a real trooper because that thing is like 3 layers of clothing. It's at least 90 degrees in this woods there today. He's sweating like something that sweats really hard, and he is just really giving it his all. I mean, you can't hear it in this overlay, but he was making the noises and doing the voice and really getting into the character. And, it's a goofy costume with this cheesy Halloween mask and the homemade hook hands, but he is selling the crap out of it. He really did this jump off that rock with basically 0 visibility in that mask. but, he sells it. We didn't choreograph any of this, really. We just sort of made it up and moved the camera around accordingly and then shot close-ups. But this is Linwood's Reservation. It's a national park. It's right in our hometown. And me and him and our friends have been, messing around and making little home movies and playing around in these woods since we were little kids, so this all comes naturally. Now, the guy on the camera in all of these shots is my best friend in the world, Timothy Luz. Tim is a real sport. He has helped out with this. Him and my brother, and also my brother's girlfriend, Sarah, who was helping us out on this day, are the unsung heroes of the game Overthinker. That ripped shirt effect there, I want you to point out. We put the real shirt on the ground, all crumpled up, and put a pre-ripped shirt on, obviously because I didn't want to ruin this shirt from the now infamous gore effect coming later. Joke from the movie Dune coming in right here. That branch that we broke, by the way, we didn't break live wood. I didn't want to do that to the forest. We picked up a branch and put it down. Okay, this is a prop hand that we've used in a bunch of our movies. That is store brand vegetable juice that makes great fake old-fashioned Hammer horror-style movie blood. We splattered it all around. I wanted to have a different sort of thing for this video than a lot of these web videos that you see, many of which I like, but a lot of them do fall back on a lot of the stuff that you've seen already in this. Game parodies, digital effects, a lot of optical effects. Those are all fun. I like them. I wanted something to differentiate this, and I kept coming back to, you know what a lot of them don't have? Really extreme, bizarrely out of place gore. So I thought, let's do that. Let's borrow this famous shot from The Story of Ricky, where a guy gets punched through the gut and the guy pulls his arm out and there's this river, this gushing torrent of blood. Let's do some of that. This shot of me crawling, this really is the first thing we shot on the second day. I thought it would be the hardest thing I'd have to do. Turned out to be wrong. These shots upcoming here, I'll point out to it when it is. That one right there, and this one coming up. Tim made those up on the day because he's a fantastic visual guy and just looks really good. Okay, here's how we did this. This is a giant rubber bucket full of blood and goo, basically all the special effects blood that we filled up, put a hole in it, put a piece of tinfoil glued to the back so that it would hold, punched my hand in, close up, pulled it out, one insert shot of the blood falling, there it is, and it looks really cool. Like, it's not convincing, but it's the kind of shot you would see in like a crappy 80s horror movie, and I love it for that. Now, these blood insert shots, I'll point them out. One of those is, another one of those barrels getting tipped over on a hill. This one coming up right here, I believe, there's me again on the floor. Okay, there's the blood going down the hill. You're gonna see, I like that shot. Right here. This is shot down by some train techs near my house, miles away from where the other stuff is fought. Movie magic. This one coming up right here. Same basic area, a little far off. Different day, different time. Cuts in very well. I love the gooey, slightly orange look of the blood. This is my favorite blood shot of the entire production. That looks straight out of like Horror of Dracula or something. Now this is a still that has been artificially stretched so that we could do the pan up without using, a steadier tripod than we would have had at the time, obviously. Going all the way up through the clouds here. This is probably the most obscure callback to an earlier Overthinker episode. We're calling all the way back to the Rosalina as Goddess reference from the episode to Super Mario and the Sacred Feminine. I'm sure a lot of people kind of guessed where this was going, but I hope there are at least some people watching this that kind of thought, oh man, is he really going to kill off the Overthinker? Is that the end of this? Is this like going to be lost? He's going to do a shitty ending and piss us all off? No, I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that. Haven't heard back from Nintendo about mixing in this actual Galaxy footage, but I'm sure they're good sports. It's meant as parody, plus it's video game commentary, so I'm sure this qualifies as journalism of some kind. Here we go, these little page turn effects. The best dissolve effects 1998 video toaster had to offer, that stuff. I love the Lumas. I wish I could have worked a Luma Lee, Luma Bop, welcome to the Luma shop into this, and back down with the fades, and here we go. Now, there's that same still again. Now, this right here is a JPEG image that we've kind of dropped in via the interface between Adobe Premiere and Adobe Photoshop. This right here, though, the prop one, is actually a little tin that I think gum or candy or something comes in. I just had it around the house. But it works, and that gives me something physical to grab onto for this shot right here. I wanted to get as many shots as we could of the back of the Anti-Thinker's head, just to reinforce that the Anti-Thinker is a Yankees fan, because that's important to me. That's very much like an 80s video game in live-action shot right there with the colors. Same blood stuff run backwards. Looks like a Sesame Street Gumby type effect, I guess. This is all pretty much animation here. This is, frame-by-frame stuff done. These little inserts of the Energy Watchmen reference, of course. And here I am. I looked much thinner as Dr. Manhattan. This is my worst offense of overacting in here, is these two guys pointing at each other and shouting and doing this whole business. It's so dramatic. And here we go. That's Chris back in the suit again. We thought of setting up the flower earlier, but it was decided that, once you saw it, you know kind of what's going to happen. Get one more reminder in that the Anti-Thinker is kind of a homophobic douchebag. We cut down on those jokes because I think they were a little much. Maybe I was trying too hard to make him an asshole. Now, people have told me that they think this is actually a good look for me. I don't know. I think I kind of look like a Florida mobster's bodyguard or something. But, I may start wearing this as regular clothes after Labor Day. That might be a good look. I don't know. This bit with the fire is my favorite, in my opinion, the best effects shot in the whole thing. The fire on the hands. This, on the other hand, looks like the end of Krull. Which I love the way it looks. Is kind of a cheeky way, but wow, that's cheesy, and that was what I was going for. DetonationFilms.com, by the way, is where these explosions came from. You can get their stuff. They have some free stuff, some other good stuff. Use their stuff. And now another thing that, kind of looks like Altered Beast. There is a lot of Altered Beast in this. It's a hero shot, we call that, looking up. Alright, so obviously this is, a joke show making fun of game and comic cliches where no one can die, and the Anti-Thinker is an interdimensional being, so obviously he's dead, but he's not dead, so please don't anyone complain if he ever shows up again. But yeah, this is a way to get rid of him without, really getting rid of him. Say, okay, we're blowing him up, he's going away, but, these sort of things are never back. Still, it's satisfying to watch him burn to death and explode, because he is such a bastard. Oh, hey, look, he dropped his medal. Oh, wow, that sort of thing would seem like a plot point that might come up again. Huh. Gee, I wonder if you'll see that medal again. Perhaps sooner than you think. And here we go, walk off into the woods. As you can see, it is very nearly evening now, and it hadn't been daylight savings time yet. We were getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, so we were really... This is some of the last stuff we shot, this last stuff you see. And coming up, we've got my brother Chris coming in. Chris has helped out from the beginning. Him and Tim and Sarah have helped out from the beginning of the game, Overthinker, to help put it together. And I really wanted to give Chris, who's been, my longest-term collaborator on all this stuff, he is my brother, a role in this. And he said, yeah, I'll be on camera. And we kind of came up with this business about him always being there. And it's a nice little aside and joke. It's kind of a callback to a similar joke in Anchorman when they're in the bar. But, I think it's cute, and I wanted to give him, a part in this to get on camera. Plus, it opens up the Overthinker's world a little bit, that there's finally another character on camera that's human, that's not me in a costume or me in a mask or someone in a mask. That's like, okay, he interacts with other human beings, just to get those things together. And here we walk off into conversation. And that is the Game Overthinker episode 50. What else is there to say? Yeah, we went into this whole episode 50 War of the Thinkers concept really just wanting to celebrate the 50th episode of the show, that we got there by doing something really just big and nuts and different. I know not everyone liked the Overthinker versus Anti-Thinker storyline. Not everyone is into the show having these more kind of comedy, satirical elements in it. Obviously, there won't be storyline stuff in every episode. There will be sort of running gags and running themes and canon stuff. But, I wanted to get this in here to say that, yes, this is how far, this is like the nadir of how far this can go, will be to occasionally, not often, but occasionally, drop into this kind of mini-movie stuff. I don't plan to do it again for a while, but this is as crazy as it can get, and it's an aside, it's a gag, it's to have fun, to show a lot of video game cliches, and not just that, but not just celebrate my show, it's celebrate the stuff that informs it. This is all very much in tribute to the golden age, 8-bit, 16-bit video game era, and the attendant weirdness and just colorful insanity that defined it, and that I think a lot of modern games are missing. And this is the sort of thing that when I was, very young, first being really into video games and really into filmmaking, that I always wanted to be able to put together, was literally to go into this very woods where I spent so much time, back then, being in these woods, and we would imagine, oh, this is Middle Earth, this is Hyrule, this is whatever, and me and Chris would get in here and play around and do that stuff, and to be able to do that now in live action with these, very goofy special effects, it's really the culmination of, a lot of lifelong, not quite dreams, but, wants and things that we'd like to do. We really enjoyed it, and I hope that you really enjoyed it too, and I hope that you enjoy many of the things to come. I can't spoil what's going to happen in the story stuff for the future episodes of Game Overthinker, especially because we haven't shot a lot of it, but I will say, if you like video games, and you like ninjas, and you like cheesy movies about video games and ninjas, you're in for a treat. And if you don't like that stuff, I will also be talking about video games. See you around.